little bit about your journey.
So the reason I really started getting interested in Islam was because I didn't really understand relationship issues. So seeing a lot of broken families and being part of a broken family and not really having a sort of strong father figure, I started looking for the Islamic perspective. And I know you guys have had some disagreements in the past with two of the people I'll mention, but alhamdulillah, I think we're all past that. But one of the biggest influences was Habib, the MMA fighter, and the way he responded to Conor McGregor, because I was more rowdy and loud and kind of, a little bit arrogant, a little bit arrogant. And when I saw how Habib was more stoic, the Islamic type of discipline with your tongue, I had a shift. And then that got me to go down a more deeper Islamic perspective of relationships and, the way in which you carry yourself with character. And I came across the older videos of Mufti Menk. I know he's different now, different energy, but I looked at his younger videos and said, what is this? And I started going more down the path of like discovering what Islam was. And I started to study Islam. And then I started to get a lot of great people part of the channel who knew way more than me. And they recommended books. And that really pushed me further and further. And then there was different moments at that point of junction where I started realizing and recognizing the signs that Islam is the religion for me. And I went further and further and further. And then I had very interesting dreams. And then I became closer and closer to Islam. And I said my Shahada. And each day I study and each day I do the fasting and follow the rules and start to understand fiqh and listening to the scholars. Like it just really just showed me like, wow. And as many have on the channel who follow me, but your audience might not know, I've studied a lot of religions. I was an atheist for a while. Um, I have a past of studying. So when I finally came to Islam, I was like, this is it, there we go. Where was this? It's a completely different type of energy, wisdom. And before you know it, here I am. And it's amazing. Everything had to happen for it to be the way it was. But no one can tell me that you only chose Islam because you were born to it or you haven't studied anything else. The typical rebuttals that people will give. And it's like, no, actually, I'm very familiar with all the other ones. And I've read countless religious texts and had deep discussions with ministers and Baptist types and Methodists and Buddhists and very Darwinist type of atheists. So I am very versed in philosophy, theology, rhetoric, and other systems. But Islam, it just hit me in a totally different way. And yeah, so that's a very concise summary of what led me to Islam.
MashaAllah. Before we go into some deeper questions for some more insight, um, compared to when you first got into Islam, how do you think you have changed?
Oh, well, my temper, number one. Because I grew up in Philly, was very quick to get to fight, because I'm very good in martial arts. So I used to do a lot of fighting. If you said something is 10 seconds, it was like, hey, right now, and Islam got me to be, no, you can't do that. You have to be disciplined, control your emotions, control your anger, watch your mouth. You don't always have to be the loudest one in the room to show your force. You can be reserved, you can be restricted, you can lead by example. And Islam has gotten me to the point where I am way less impulsive, way less impulsive. Now it's more difficult for me to even get the urge to just get really venomous. Because when you grow up around a lot of, quick reactions due to anger, it's harder to restrain yourself. And that's how Habib, the MMA fighter, really kind of inspired me, because I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. I thought you had to kind of always respond, always just like, okay, quick, 0 to 100 right now, and show you and dominate you and put you in your place. But Habib was like, he just sat there and was like collected while Conor was, dancing around and insulting his wife, insulting his religion, just saying things that I myself, if someone said to me, would have gotten up already. And I was like, why does he do that? And so many people on the channel were like, it's because he's a Muslim. And I was like, this is Islamic masculinity? And they're like, yeah, this is Islamic masculinity. I was like, really? Because I grew up around Christians and Mormons who are more softer men. They have their suits, their shoulders are very petite. It's not that kind of force. But when I saw something so like iron like a pillar just sitting there, I was like, he's not even like, what is going on? That's amazing. So that's one change. And then the urge for modesty, because many on the channel know, but some of your viewers might not, is that my mother was an adult entertainer, and my father was a man who dated a lot of women in the adult entertainment industry. So I saw a lot of adult in content in my life, and I didn't have a sense of modesty or a respect for modesty. I didn't really. I thought of it as like, you have oppression, right? Like, why do they cover up? This is weird. You need to show all the time. You have to peacock. You have to constantly be putting yourself out there. But Islam got me to understand and enjoy modesty. And that was something like, wow, because it works as a process. The more I studied the hadith, the more times I read the Quran, the more I settled down, the more I controlled my anger. The same compulsion wasn't there. And it was like a peeling away of, you don't have to, it's like deprogramming in a way. You're reshaping yourself. So the modesty factor came in, controlling my anger, and patience, being steadfast. And the whole concept of your suffering is a trial from Allah, whether you have bounty or whether you're restricted, you will be rewarded in this life or in the hereafter. But either way, you have to have patience, gracious patience, and there's no complaining. You deal with it, you praise Allah under every condition, and you move forward. There's no wallowing in your own self-pity. And that really made me feel like, wow, like, because the victimhood card is very popular right now. The more victimized you are, the higher status you get. And even though there's a lot of suffering in my life, this changed my psychology, where I was like, okay, so anything that happens to me, you must endure and wait for respite from Allah. And it just shifts the way in which you deal with trauma or bad circumstance, and cautious of when you have something good. Like, okay, it can come, it can go anytime. Don't grasp it and be addicted to it. So just watch how you deal with good things and bad things, and to press forward. So that's another way. So I would say patience, the suffering angle, and modesty, controlling my anger, oh, and materialism. I mean, the materialist angle, because I'm sure you know the American consumerist culture, right? Buy the cars, buy this, title worship. And I started to peel it back. I don't need this brand. I don't need, this networking group. I don't need this title. I need to focus on the hereafter. I need to focus on doing good deeds, having patience, giving zakah, my salah, some fasting. I need to study. And then I got all my energy just kind of shifted towards studying Islam, being healthy, cutting out bad friends, cutting out the drinking, cutting out any type of party lifestyle. It just really started coming down, and then enjoying that change. So Islam has changed me. I mean, just a whole new person, to the point where people mention it, and my family is pretty happy because they were worried. I'm the first Muslim in the family, so they're Christians and Mormons. And so they were like, Islam, better be careful, because they have stereotypes from the television. They never met a Muslim. So they're like, what does this mean? Like, where are you going? You're going to leave? Where are you going? It's like, no. And they just see the change, and they're like, oh, wow. It's like, if they can see it, others are seeing it, and I see it within myself. So those are some of the bullet points of how Islam has changed me.